We are live.
Welcome back, sports fans. It's Hey Hey Sports, and as promised, we're going to do a Chicago Bear recap, Game 2. It was not pretty. It hasn't been pretty around the mansion the last 24, 48 hours. Just quickly, the beloved Fighting Irish last night just gagged against Texas A&M Marcus Freeman. I think who's the actor Freeman? The other guy, I can't think.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman, for all practical purposes, should be their head coach. Okay, but they lost a tough one, 41-40. U of I blew out Western Michigan. That was really no surprise.
3-0.
3-0.
Bowl game.
Yeah, they're 3-0. Okay.
Brett Bielema. And they are ranked, are they not?
You got to beat who you got to beat. Not a great schedule, but you got to beat
it picks up here soon. They got to go play the Signetti.
Yeah, Indiana with Signetti.
USC after that.
Yeah, so their schedule picks up, but U of I is 3-0. You'd rather be 3-0 than 0-3.
Something the Chicago Bears very well might be.
Okay, and then one more. Currently, the Cubs are losing 3-2 to Tampa Bay in the eighth. It was the seventh inning or eighth inning, and we got a comedy game where the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys are in overtime, 37-37. Which kind of leads in the Dallas Cowboys are the Bears' next opponent, and now we are going to make reference to the recap and thoughts of Game 2 of the Chicago Bears, which took place at September 14th.
Can you hand me the loose leaf note for the statistical data? Thank you. This will be mentioned later.
The Bears got trounced 52-21. Okay? Pause for a second, because during the draft and pre-draft, the celebration and the parades were because the Bears got... I'm not blaming Caleb Williams. First of all, I'm not blaming Caleb Williams for this.
Not overall.
Not overall. He did look bad. But the concept of all the Bears needed was, and we kind of mentioned this on a very, very early episodes, all they needed was a quarterback.
And we also referenced this on the previous show that we did long before this current one.
Plug and play, that's all they needed. Once they get this quarterback,
whether it be Justin Fields, whether it be Caleb Williams,
that's the only thing they needed.
Whether it be whomever. After, drumroll please.
Okay. Because we've done this a couple of times after Mitch, okay? And once again, and people are getting tired of me saying it, Mitch was the last quarterback to take the Bears to 2 playoff games, and they couldn't wait to get him out of town because they knew they could get a generational quarterback after Mitch, which was Justin Fields.
Or that's what they thought.
And we know how that turned out. Okay? And then now they're sitting back after they made the move. And you said, after the trade with DJ Moore, theoretically the Bears...
He's equivalent to a number 1 draft pick.
DJ Moore is equivalent to a number 1 draft pick.
Number 1 overall draft pick.
Okay. Then they got Caleb Williams was the number 1 pick, and then they got Colton Lovelace,
who was the number 10th guy.
The 10th overall. So in 2 years, they basically got 3 guys in the top 10.
And I think Rome. They got Rome at number 9.
And Rome number 9. The Colton Lovelace experiment. 1. He is the 10th overall pick in the draft. He has caught 1 pass in 2 weeks. Could it get better?
Hopefully.
It might. Should we push panic buttons because he's got 1 now? There's theories on maybe why he only has 1 catch. We'll get into that pretty soon too. We're kind of doing this, reaching out here, and I hope Jackson is hearing all of this, and you're going to enjoy this situation. Jackson is a subscriber and a valued viewer, so thank you very much. And for those that also do it, keep those comments coming in, and we look at them and we find them amusing. But first of all, let's go to just in general. According to my references, the Bears had 4, 5, 6. They had 7 hurries and 4 sacks. 4 sacks. You have this bazillion-dollar offensive line. 4 sacks. Caleb Williams has been sacked now 6 times in 2 games. That's an average of 3 a game. 3 times 17 is 51 sacks. He is on pace for 51 sacks. Yes, he had 68 last year, but to still get knocked on your ass 51 times and have as many hurries as you're going to have, somewhere along the line, people who paid big money for this offensive line,
$94 million.
didn't do it. And they cannot run block.
No.
Because last week they were dead last in rushing.
How many running backs do they have, and who's playing over all those running backs? We'll get into that in a minute. Too.
So you got to ask yourself the question. All right, if they're pass blocking, when you get something, you got to give up something.
Yep.
So they're pass blocking, but you're still going to get knocked on your ass 51 times on average, if I use the math right, and you're still not going to get 4,000 yards, because that's a big deal with Caleb. Then that kind of irks me. All right, but at least last year you had Caleb, and you had an opportunity to run the ball effectively. Now he had 207 yards passing. Last week he had 211. He's got a little over 4. He's, to get that magical 4,000 that everybody thinks is pretty damn important, and I don't think it's worth. It ain't worth shit. I want W's.
Jameis Winston had 5,000 yards and 30 interceptions one year for Tampa Bay.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, okay, and I've been very critical and he made some bad passes. Okay,
that's not even the worst.
Okay, the interception that they had when he was running for his life. But anyway, the quarterback situation is not good.
But you know what? That's not even number one. That's not even the most insulting performance that he had today. Can I talk?
Yeah,
please?
you run with that.
Can I please talk? No, thank you. Caleb Williams. How many points did they give up?
52.
So your team is getting destroyed by 52 points collectively that your team gave up. Whether it be from turnovers via the offense, or defense not executing plays properly, or special teams not doing what they need to do. Overall, your team, which you are the captain of, you are starting quarterback of, you are the number 1 overall pick of, and you're laughing and giggling and jucking it up, having a fun time on the sidelines.
And we're not making that up. If you watch the game,
you're laughing. You're smiling.
The camera is on him. And if Caleb, you're watching this, the camera is on you. Everything you move, you're the with the number 1 overall pick in a draft. The camera is on you all the time. Okay, and for those of you who are watching this, whether you play Pee-wee football, whether you play whatever it might be, if you're on the sidelines and you're getting your ass kicked by 31 points, nothing is funny.
On national television.
And I think this guy just banged another one and Jerry just beat
New York Giants.
When you're getting nothing is funny when you're losing by 30. Okay, and we saw that. And there's been...
And I'll even go a step further. In the first half, this defense, and I was ragging on them the entire game. I was killing on them the entire game. Because Tyreek Stevenson, you suck. These great linebackers did not do anything. They couldn't stop. The linebackers couldn't cover a homeless person in a clothing factory. They didn't do anything. The defense of the fourth quarter, the last game, they couldn't close a McDonald's at midnight if I told them to. They couldn't do anything productive, and they were picking on Tyreek Stevenson the entire game. Tyreek Stevenson, he was solely responsible for the blunder and the failure of Washington last season. After that game, they were so mentally fragile. Even with all the team captains that they had, they were so mentally fragile. And last season, they started out pretty darn good. And after the Commanders game, their season was just effectively over. Why did Ryan Poles, I got a fact about Ryan Poles here. Ryan Poles, allowed this man to be continued on the team. 2, Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, and Ben Johnson, the three stooges right there, opened up the checkbook to bring in the $94 million offensive lineman who they don't protect anything. The Bears' offensive line has been like the border. Everyone's getting in, no one's getting out. Everyone's getting in, no one's getting out. And they just can let it happen. 2, you have Tyson Bagent, who, they got, who's the other one?
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum, for those of you who don't know who Case Keenum is, Case Keenum, played a crucial factor of helping the Minnesota Vikings get to an NFC Championship game a few years back. You think he can't play? You think Tyson Bagent, who had all the passing records of, what was it, Shepherd University?
Shepherd University.
In what division?
I think they were Division 2.
And he holds,
or maybe a Division 3.
And he has almost all those passing records throughout that entire division of NCAA football. That's a lot of teams.
And I think they might have been broken by somebody recently, but he's
still,
1 or 2 all time at any college level.
Ryan Poles, as effective of today, the Bears' record, win-loss records, with Ryan Poles being the general manager, the Bears are 15-38. And there's Bears fans who call him King Poles. There's Bears fans who do not dare question how long his mysterious renewal of contract is. Are you kidding me? Ryan Poles came in here. This Bears team was a playoff team. You can go in whatever propaganda mode and spin that however you see fit. That's a fact. And that defense, they're pretty darn good. And he gutted them top to bottom. He gutted them top to bottom.
We will have a show about the amount of talent that the Bears, and for those that don't know, when the talent the Bears once had, to the Bears' talent that Ryan Poles.
Not a single one of any of Ryan Poles' guys are Pro Bowlers.
Okay.
In 4 years.
Do
the math there.
Okay. So, all of that is true, and I'm not going to argue any of it. But there are other elements to this, the recoup thing we want to talk about. But that everything is absolutely true. And yeah, if Caleb Williams has to watch out, the camera is always on him, and to smirk or laugh in some capacity
on the second game of the season against a divisional opponent.
You're 0-2.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we noticed Roma Doomsday got many more targets than the rest of the team, and we're trying to figure out why. Now, there's a couple theories as coaching once happened. It might be possible that other wide receivers and other threats maybe shirking their routes because they know they're not going to get the damn ball. You guys who are out there somewhere along the line, if you know that the one quarterback is going to throw, and I use this analogy, if you're playing a flag football game and you got 7 guys running out for passes and one guy always throws to the same guy, where's the incentive of the other 5 guys to bust their ass and run a route when they damn well know they're not going to get the ball? Maybe, and it is fact that when Caleb Williams was drafted, he wanted and chose to make sure that Roma Doomsday, if available, would end up being a Chicago Bear.
Caleb Williams, stand me if I am incorrect here. Please correct me if I am wrong here. Was he the only quarterback that Ryan Poles effectively looked at?
That was it.
In that draft?
It not even when that draft, it was the year before, when they knew that they had the number 1 pick.
In 2 years in a row.
Okay. Okay, but after the second year, after they made that trade, and they knew Carolina was going to be so god awful that the Bears were going to get that pick. The Ryan Poles knew right then and there. The draft could have took place that night, and he was going to pick one human being on planet Earth, and that was going to be Caleb Williams. Don't give me this. He brought all these other guys in, and they talked to him. No chance in hell. They knew.
Last season, Fox Sports, FS1, they broke the story that supposedly half the Bears team last year went to the front office, went to the coaching staff, and said, "Play Tyson." I don't know how true that is, but there is that story that does exist.
And if you watched, those that watched the game, the entire game, you saw Caleb Williams' body language at the end of the game. The only thing that he was protecting was his earrings, but you saw body language to see.
He was laughing.
Well, it was more at the very end of the game. He was disgust.
Because he wasn't playing.
He was pouting.
You know what?
Yes.
And I'm not big on body language, especially because people talk about Cutler and body language. But why do you think Cutler never smiled? Why do you think Cutler kept to himself? Because it was a job to him. Get in and get out. Caleb, it's like, it's just going to come to him naturally.
Okay.
Justin Fields, the game was slow. Justin Fields.
The comment, yeah.
Justin Fields, I had spent an entire offseason as a Bears fan having to hear how wonderful, how amazing Justin Fields was in a practice. And he played a Miami Dolphins junior varsity team. He played the Miami Dolphins practice squad team, who wasn't any good. And I tried telling people that year that the Dolphins weren't going to be any good, neither here nor there. But anyway, Fields, we had to hear a whole duration of time how wonderful he was in practice. And he struggled to make one good play against that team. And the minute he did that, he said, game was slow. The offensive speed of the people. Game was easy. Game was slow. And then he played Cleveland, got sacked 9 times.
Guys like Fields and guys like Caleb Williams,
they're unlikable for one.
When you're kicking the shit out of teams year in and year out, and you're winning. When you're on the other side of games like this, when you're at USC beating Stanford 52-21.
Yeah.
It's easy, but then all of a sudden you're 0-2, and last year you were 5-12. Okay, and last year it was the coaching staff was the problem.
Well, last year they were and the more insulting part of that was last year they were 5-12, and Caleb Williams. I've defended Caleb a lot. Am I the number one fan? Am I going to go up buy his jersey? No, absolutely not. But it's just. I thought coming into this game, I thought it was insane how people were talking about him because, to be quite frank, I didn't really think many of the comments were football related. However, after this game, when you're losing in the way that you are, and you're giggling and laughing and having a fun time, and you didn't play all that well, and to be fair, no one here played good. At this point, everyone is on the table. Everyone should be on the trading block.
No,
it's insulting.
And if you're the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, or if you're the quarterback of any team, okay, and who's ever watching out there, if you're a high school quarterback or whatever, when things are going bad, okay,
that shows who you really are.
Yeah, it shows yourself. Okay, if you get pulled out of a game, you don't pout. Okay. You don't pout, you don't cry, you don't whine, you don't show the body language. And if you're the starting quarterback, okay, because before it got to 52-21, it was 14-7. Okay.
And their defense gave them 4, even though one of them was a missed field goal because Detroit whiffed wide left. The Bears defense put the team in a position where the Bears
early
had 4 critical moments. 4 critical moments, and the offense never capitalized on any of them.
That game could have been over at halftime.
And that reaches into something you want to touch base on, because you make the comment about Ben Johnson, more sizzle than steak.
We're going to get into his play calling here in a second.
Well, why don't we do that right now?
Well, I want to go kind of into it.
Okay, we'll continue.
And the defense kept within reason. The game got out of hand. Okay, the game got out of hand. Okay, but it was 14-7. And once again, the Bears scored on their first drive of the game, just like they did in Minnesota last week. And they scored on the last drive before halftime.
Like.
And then it's like we were thinking, okay, you scored, but then
They got the ball at second half.
but in between that though, Detroit scored right before half.
Right, but there was still 7-14.
So they
and
were,
the Bears get the ball second half.
They were within reason. So it's like, okay, maybe. And that's where a true leader of your offense, which is your quarterback, and then we'll get into this whole deal.
Well,
okay, back to how important is a quarterback. And people have heard me say this a million times. And I'm going to say this bullshit that the quarterback is the most important player in all of sports at any position, I think is a bunch of horse crap. Okay?
He needs to execute the plays.
Okay.
He needs to stand up and throw.
You got to have a winner back there.
He needs to get first downs and get touchdowns. That's what he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to be good enough to accumulate yards and a first down. Doesn't matter how you do it. That's what you need.
Because you can win games. You can win games with marginal quarterbacks. When I did my student teaching at Tinley Park High School, okay, kid by the name of Maslin, and you can go look this over, okay, Tinley Park High School was a 4A state champion in, I'm not going to say the year, but you can go back and look at it. They had a kid by the name of Brian Wise who did everything but park the cars, okay? Brian Wise did everything. But Maslin, they found this kid in a PE class, and they said, and he never played football for 3 years in high school. Became the quarterback his senior year, and they won a state championship. That's back when they only had 6 classes. And they were the 4A state champion. You can go look this up.
Tom Brady didn't play in high school, too.
And he was not all state, no nothing. He was all PE. And they found him. Coach Lou Narish found him and said, you're going to be our quarterback. Okay, now you threw the ball to Brian Wise, of course, it went to Iowa, but that don't mean anything right now. But and when they say game manager, that's not an insult. Game managers win at football.
Yeah.
Okay? And you don't need all of this stuff. And you don't need the Waffle House playbook. That's what we're leading into right now. In the second quarter, the Bears were within striking distance. Now you're sitting at 2nd and 1. Okay? And it was a deflected pass. Okay? Caleb Williams
at the line of scrimmage.
At the line of scrimmage. Deflected pass at the line of scrimmage.
That is on the quarterback.
That's on the quarterback. Okay? Okay. Then you go to 3rd and 1, and you have this lavish, color-coordinated Waffle House menu of plays, and you throw a quarterback sneak, which wasn't a bad move. I'm a believer in that.
Well, they did it 2 times.
But they got stonewalled.
2 times. With the $94 million offensive line up in front.
The $94 million, you can't push a line. As I said before, it all starts with the 5 fat guys up front. You can't get a yard, you're not going to win. And then the Bears said, okay, because Ben Johnson, when he was at Detroit, they led the league in 4th downs. Let's go for it. And we're like, that's not a bad move.
Okay.
But you come back with the same play.
And this is my complaint.
And you got stonewalled.
And this is my complaint. And
why have the menu?
And this is my complaint. And I said this during the game. What is the concept of where you have all these smart people, all these smart coaches in the NFL or in the NCAA, or people who want to pride themselves on being? It's like, oh, I know everything. I know everything and anything about coaching or whatever it may be, and then you don't produce, and then you don't win games, and you don't accumulate yards that you desperately need. Halfback, offenses with halfback, fullback work. Offenses with T formations work. Offenses with power wing, offensive spread formations, they work.
People, boring works. Okay? Vince Lombardi had 6 plays.
3 to the left, 3 to the right.
That was it.
Stop me.
Stop me. You know it's coming. I'm going to hand the ball to Paul Horning. Stop me. Okay?
Bart Starr's going to throw a pass.
And occasionally he would throw a pass. And that was it. That was their offense, and they won. You don't need all of this nonsense and the trickery. Because you know what? If it don't work, you look like a damn fool.
Y.A. Tittle was drawing up plays in the middle of the game.
In the dirt.
And he was quarterback.
Yes.
He was calling his own plays.
Okay.
Jim McMahon called his own plays at the line of scrimmage.
So all of this nonsense where you need all the sophisticated stuff to get 1 yard.
No, you don't.
And then when you don't do it, I think you look like a damn fool.
You look like an idiot.
Okay? Because if you got this entire litany of plays, when the hell are you going to use them? When the hell are you going to use them? Okay? So anyway, that was, and then right then and there when they went no yardage, and then there were 2 hurries in that quarter, and by that time we're sitting there at halftime going, it's all over. Then the third quarter, they gave up, according to my stats, 5 hurries and 4 sacks. Okay, now all of a sudden the $100 million offensive line is giving up 4 sacks. Then I'm thinking to myself, here's where I'm going to do some math, and that's when I figured that if they're averaging 6 a game, or 6 right now, 6 in 2 games, which is 3 a game, 3 times 17 is 51. He's going to get knocked on his ass 51
What
times.
about the Darnell Wright chop block?
Darnell Wright, chop blocks, holds, pre-snap, and you know what? Darnell Wright was a 7th overall pick, I believe.
They traded down not once but twice in that draft, and they passed on Jalen Carter.
I know you haunt me with that in my sleep.
I will because yet again another draft that you whiffed on, and again people love to say people love to point the fingers, laugh, and say Bears passed on Mitch. Bears took Mitch over what's his face in Kansas City. Well, the dude in Kansas City was a 25th overall pick.
23, yeah.
The dude in Kansas City went to a team that was winning with Alex Smith long before him.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce had consecutive 1,000 yards long before the dude in Kansas City ever got there.
23 different teams passed on the guy from Kansas City, because we don't even like to mention his name. But 23 teams passed on him.
Or the other guy who's now in Cleveland, who got ran out of the entire state of Texas.
So when they say that the Bears are the only team that screwed up, no, 20,
And here's the other thing. Mitch Trubisky was a Pro Bowl quarterback. Mitch Trubisky, I got a stat sheet right here. Do you want to? Can I read off the stat sheet here?
I'll give you a couple minutes to go with that.
Because Mitchell Trubisky from Mentor, Ohio. That's where he was born and raised. He went to North Carolina, and then the argument is, Mitch, he doesn't play. And you said this, the complaint was, and the only real argument for Mitch was going against him is that he didn't play all that lot in college.
Yeah, the amount of games that he started, because I think he came out after his sophomore year, or I think he came out of his junior year, but he redshirted his freshman year. He only had like 16 or 17.
He played very well in the NFL for the Chicago Bears.
But the Richardson guy had less games.
Which one?
The guy from Indianapolis who got whacked. And when he got picked number 1 overall, Anthony Richardson had less games started than Mitch. But when he got drafted,
no one said a thing. But
he was generational, and what's he doing now?
Oh yeah, he's ruining his career because Danny Dimes is.
Is out playing.
Jay Cutler got injured, season-ending injuries, not once but twice in 2 consecutive years. And, people call him a quitter, but yet Anthony Richardson tapped his head in the middle of a game and said, "Take me out, coach." No one says anything about it.
And he played at Florida, and Florida, that's his ass.
But anyway, Mitchell Trubisky has a lower interception percentage. It's like golf. You want that lower.
Okay.
The lower the better. He has it lower than Joe Montana, Jim Kelly, Terry Bradshaw, Dan Fouts, both of the Mannings, believe it or not, Troy Aikman, Joe Theismann, Ken Stabler, Joe Namath, John Elway, Drew Bledsoe, Mark Rippon, Tony Romo, Phil Simms, Bart Starr, and Brett Favre, Roger Staubach, Earl Morrall. For those of you who don't know, Earl Morrall was a man who won all those games for the 1972 Miami Dolphins when they went undefeated. Because Bob Greasy, who's also on this list, Bob Greasy was the starting QB, got injured earlier on in the year. He has a lower interception percentage than Cameron Newton. Everyone loves Cam Newton nowadays. Are you kidding me? And you threw this man away? You threw this man away for nothing. Mitchell Trubisky has, I believe, the highest touchdown percentage. Well, actually, no, he doesn't, because that's Sid Luckman, still to this day. But Mitch is certainly up there.
And what's the stat you always say? The amount of fumbles with Fields, because they ran Mitch out to get Fields,
and Justin Fields played 40 games and 61 turnovers.
Okay,
both of them were fumbles, combined fumbles and turnover. But people say, why didn't we keep Fields? Why didn't you keep Fields? They gave a game. We were here. We sat in this room. We watched the game where Justin Fields had 14 design running plays, 14 design passing plays, and then when they lost the game, you had the balls to sit back and say, we can't believe we lost. And then 2, he also got hurt in that game.
So I guess what we're trying to kind of say is, as much as critical as I am and as early on defendable as he is, because we're kind of coming to a happy medium that maybe the kid from USC.
Oh no, I don't want him to play.
The number 1 overall numero uno.
No.
Might.
No, you're done. We're done.
He might be part of the problem. Now I gotta hear some post game stuff from I guess people who are more in tune than us, but
supposedly
I want to hear, because there was very little negativity about they're blaming the $100 million line now.
What about the great Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator? How great was he?
Dennis Allen.
Tyreek Stevenson. I beg the question: why are you on the team?
A name we have not mentioned with the loser limp, Jalen Johnson.
I forgot about him. That's how irrelevant he is.
He got burned. And then all of a sudden
he fell over.
He went in, and I don't think
they did not talk about him.
They didn't talk for the remainder of the game.
We watched the whole thing.
We watched the whole game with the volume on, and it was like, where's Jalen Johnson? And you know what?
I hate him.
He's gonna go on the IL, and that means if you are on that official IL, you got to miss 4 games, because in between you got.
His season is over.
In the middle there, you got the bye week, and we're going to get to the schedule here in a second. For you guys out there in the viewer land, that if you thought that the Bears, because some of you guys out there, when I made a prediction last year, you looked at me starry-eyed and said, what's this crazy old man doing saying the Bears are only going to win those amount of games? Well, it turned out, maybe I got lucky.
This entire team is complete garbage, top to bottom.
But the schedule... I'm looking at the schedule, I'm thinking, where the hell are the wins? Dallas scored 40. You got Dallas.
Dallas took them to overtime.
Okay. You got Dallas and you got Vegas. Well, Vegas might be.
The Bears also play the Giants.
You got, and then you got the bye week and you got Washington. Okay, I'm going, the only lock on the schedule is New Orleans. I see New Orleans, okay? And then I see Baltimore. And then I see Cincinnati. And then I see, I got to check my handwriting here. Then you got the Giants, who lost in overtime to Dallas and scored 37 points. Okay. Then you got the Vikings, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Green Bay twice, Cleveland.
You played Detroit again.
Okay, maybe Cleveland. Okay. I see 2 locks on the whole damn schedule.
I want Tyson Bagent or Case Keenum to be the quarterback.
Okay. Where I'm sitting there going, collectively speaking, these are going to be wins that I know. You might roll into Dallas 0-3, and then you go to Vegas, and you're sitting there 0-4 at the bye week. Then, what are you going to do? You got to readjust. What the hell are you going to do?
And speaking of Vegas, who is their main attraction right now on their roster? Who is the main attraction right now? Who's the guy that people want to see right now?
Well, I'm going to say the tight end Bowers, but he's hurt. You're going to go with Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I will, because you know what? Who played running back today for the Chicago Bears?
Swift.
And where did he come from?
Detroit.
And who threw him away?
Mr. Sizzle.
And who does Mr. Sizzle now coach for?
He's the head coach of the Bears.
Okay, so and you made a very excellent, assumption here. Why is Roshan Johnson, who's a Texas Longhorn running back, if you're a running back from Texas, you're normally pretty damn good.
And you didn't play a whole lot. You were a backup to Bijan Robinson, and you still got drafted. That's similar to the quarterback situation when
Yes.
the two guys from USC, who was the backup for Leinart.
Oh, for Matt Leinart back in the day?
And that guy got drafted.
That's a good question.
I got to double check. And he played for New England. He was a backup for 4 years to Matt Leinart.
Was that Matt Castle?
Matt Castle, thank you. Matt Castle got drafted because...
He's also on that list there.
Matt Castle got drafted because he was the backup to Matt Leinart and USC won a shitload of games.
Okay, but my argument is, because you go Bears running backs, the entire lineage from Red Grange and Bronco Nagurski from 100-something years ago all the way up until now, all the way from Red Grange, Bronco Nagurski, all the way up until Thomas Jones to Matt Forte.
The Bears pride themselves on a linebacker and a running back.
Yes.
Forever.
Hardcore defense.
Forever.
Hardcore power running game. If you are the monsters in the Midway and you don't play like monsters,
because you went from
why are you here?
You went from Butkus to Singletary to Urlacher.
That's a great lineage.
Okay, and now
you... a middle linebacker?
That's pretty much, and then, yeah.
And there what was Doug Atkins before?
Way before. Okay, but then you got these milquetoast guys, and then running backs you had basically Sayers and Peyton.
Neil Anderson.
And Neil Anderson.
Rashad Salam.
Okay, Salam. Then you had Thomas Jones. And then you got
Matt Forte in there.
And you had Matt Forte in there.
Jeremy Langford.
And then
Jordan Howard.
And then Jordan Howard and Montgomery that you got rid of. Okay, so they're the running game in the middle line, but now now you got to get Mr. Waffle House playbook, and these guys can't run it.
No. None of these people.
Half the problem is you can't run it.
You have a $100 million offensive line, and they don't do anything correct.
Now, we could be dead wrong next week when they walk into Soldier Field at 3 o'clock. It's a national game, a 3 o'clock game. Now, if I'm the network people after watching this nonsense...
It's Bears and Cowboys.
Yeah. It's Bears
Bears and Cowboys.
Yes.
The two of some of the biggest storybook teams ever.
And after this shitbox performance, I got to find a way to make this a flex game. There's no way in hell that a team that got beat by 30 should be the national game, the sole one and only 3 o'clock game.
See, this is my problem with the Bears today. They're a brand. They're not a team. They are a B-R-A-N-D. Brand. You know what? You can go out, have all the reunion tours you want. Your current album sucks. You can go out and have all the 40-year-old anniversaries.
Because what he's mentioning, it's a 40-year anniversary this year of the Bears winning the Super Bowl 40 years ago.
And last week they were all in Chicago.
They were all in Chicago. They did all this.
They're all in the team
Blazers.
And
they let a kid who never started a game, coming off a horrific injury from LaGrange, Illinois, who looked like dog crap for 3 quarters, light him up in the 4th quarter, and win a game.
And what they do now?
And today they got pummeled.
I don't want you on my Spotify playlist.
Okay.
I'm not buying the current music. No, thank you.
And we're still debating because the home game we were going to look at is possibly. We looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year. We're like, okay, Jerry Jones and the Micah Parsons thing is no longer, and Micah Parsons is now playing with Jackson's favorite team out there
in Green
Bay. But we're like, it's a 3 o'clock game. We could stay overnight in Chicago, relax a little bit, not have to rush home for Monday. And now we're sitting there going, do we want to invest this money after this disaster? Because what is Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens going to do with this decimated defensive backfield?
Who's your running back? Dallas got some pretty good running back right now. Is Zeke's back in?
No, that's a good question. We got to research that. You threw me for a loop. I don't know who the Dallas, but
because Dallas always score like 35, 40 points.
And Jerry's going to be up in where Mrs. Hallis used to be up. He's going to get the invite and all this other mumbo. Don't go. I know I said anything.
You know where I'm going with this.
But once again,
you know where I want to go.
Save it for another event. But once again, the Bears.
Sell the team.
The Bears could be floating at 0-3.
Sell the team, please.
Okay. Just for statistical data here. No, in the history of the NFL, no team that has started 0-2 and has lost to divisional opponents has ever made the playoffs.
The closest one I could think to that, but I don't know who they played in that year, would have been the Tom Coughlin New York Giants.
But as I said, the first 2 games of the season, back to back.
Okay, well, they lost the first 2 games of the season. I don't know if they were divisional opponents.
But see, against divisional opponents. Okay, so and now you got to sit there and everybody was going, well, the Bears might take second place. And
no, not at this point. They're looking like 4th place yet again. Thank you, Ryan Poles. You're 15-38. Why are you here?
Okay, they won 5 games last year, and I stuck my neck out on the last thing and said, 7 is the high water mark.
You're 15-38. Kevin Warren, and you raised an excellent point because he was involved with Minnesota, and Minnesota Vikings desperately needed that new stadium because, fun fact for those who are not familiar with this, the Minnesota Vikings wanted their own stadium. Minnesota Vikings always had a joint stadium with the baseball team, the Minnesota Twins. Once upon a time, they played outdoors at the Met Center, was it? Which is now
Metropolitan Stadium.
Okay.
And outdoors.
And that property is now the Mall of America. And then the Metrodome gets hooked up. Metrodome gets set up.
But then they had a storm and it blew.
Exactly.
So they had to build a stadium.
But long before that, the Vikings were looking for their own property anyway.
Yes.
So the writing was on the wall, and then when that storm happened, the Vikings had to go play at the Golden Gophers football field.
Until
until the new property was built. So that was up in Minnesota for the Vikings, which is what Kevin Warren's only NFL claim to fame is.
Because they needed a stadium, so they were going to get one eventually.
That was a civic municipality project that needed to be done, hell or high water. And no one was disagreeing with that.
So Kevin Warren, he stepped in and became like the bean counter deal. They were going to get it anyway. They were, whatever tax breaks, whatever the city wanted to do, they were going to get a stadium.
And then he goes to the Big Ten conference football, and he's an overseer. He's behind the scenes.
He was a deputy commissioner, maybe,
of some sort,
of the Big Ten.
Okay, and that's his only. Those are his only 2 claims to fame. And then he comes to the NFL, Chicago Bears. To these Chicago Bears, and he comes here, and the real reason he's here is to get some kind of stadium deal done. And now, the Mr. Pritzker, Governor Pritzker, has now laid the foundation of, well, if you want point A, if you want this, you gotta do this, and that would be Governor J.B. Pritzker has stated, what is it, 500?
I think it's 537 million, so 540 if you round up. They still owe either in the Bears in the renovation of the new stadium, what happened 20-some years ago.
Yes.
And
of the new potential
and the lease that they got with the Chicago Bears or with the Soldiers Field, the buyout basically.
So you take all those 3 ingredients, place them into a blender. So then, and that involves state tax-paying money. State. As in the whole state of Illinois. So everyone from Rockford, Illinois, north from Rockford to further south as Metropolis, east and west from Charleston to Quincy, Illinois, everyone involved has to pay the collection of, please say it again, the money.
The taxes, $540 million.
For the Chicago Bears to get the new
the Bears have to come up with that in order for
the Bears have that money.
The tax break stuff, yes.
Because if you go and you look on any Chicago Bears site and you look at Letterman jackets, they're all selling out for thousands of dollars. You're selling jackets for thousands of dollars and they're all being sold out.
But the Kevin Warren situation is Kevin Warren was brought in. Kevin Warren was never brought in, and if he was, he's doing a piss poor job as far as talent and drafting and this. He's there because when Ryan Poles, who is becoming an idiot, okay, maybe he is. He's drafting the people, and Kevin Warren is the bean counter saying, well, this is what we got. This is what we could pay because we still need money for the stadium nonsense, and that's what he's overseeing. He's not breaking down tape and saying, this is the kid we got to draft.
It's been 6 years now.
That is a bunch of crap.
I'm going to round up and say 6 years because they're not getting anything done this year.
Okay. Because, Pace and Nagy for as everybody says as dysfunctional as they are, and once again, Matt Nagy got pushed out and had a winning record. Isn't he the 4th all-time winningest?
That's not saying a lot, though. But
not saying a lot, but he had a small. But like you said, if they would have kept him,
No, better yet, if Matt Nagy was a great football man, it was just if he checked the ego aside, if he checked his ego aside, and just there were a couple games.
If he didn't get in his own way, he would still be the coach today
in that second
of the Chicago
season,
Bears.
Because the first year he's coach of the year, and they were like 13-3 or 12-4, and they win the division, and they beat Green Bay in order to win the division. It's all hunky dory. Everything was amazing. The second year, there were 3 games that were really brutal. There was the game against London, which he waited the entire week to get to the other side of the planet, and then they lost.
They lost to Oakland.
And then they were surprised that they lost that game. And then there was a game that we were at that same season when they kneed the ball down 4 times, kick a field goal, and then
and they said, we got enough yards. We don't need any more yards.
They did not. And then there was another one that
they missed a field goal. We were at that game.
And then there was another game that they lost in that season over something really idiotic such as that.
Was that the 13-3 Washington game where they were winning 7-0 at the half and got shut out?
No, that was
a Thursday night game.
That was with Fields. That was with Fields and Eberflus.
We were at that game.
We were at that game
too.
We were at that game, and I let my opinions be known to a certain somebody involved with the Chicago Bears, and you didn't,
But anyway, if you guys want to comment, okay, look at the Bears' remaining schedule. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how many games they're going to win.
And then I'll leave you with this. If Mitch Trubisky was so horrible when he was a Chicago Bear, how come he outplayed and outperformed in the same offense? Outplayed and outperformed everyone who was trying to replace him, still to this day. And he also, one of those people, was a Super Bowl winning MVP championship quarterback in Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Nick Foles lost 6 games, all of them in a row. The only reason they made the playoffs that year was when Mitch got forced back in.
And, so I guess what we're trying to say is, we're kind of wrapping this up a little bit. The play calling was not great on those 4th downs. Look at their schedule. Review their schedule. Tell us where we're wrong.
And please, if you think we're idiots, please comment.
And if you say Caleb Williams is good,
why?
Like you say,
I'm not saying that now.
No, but what you say is always tell me why
in a football context
why he should be playing
or why he should not be playing.
Tell me why he's better than what they have. Tell me why he deserved to be the number 1 overall quarterback. Tell me why he's being outplayed by every quarterback that was drafted in that draft.
He has yet to defeat, and I understand quarterbacks don't play each other, they play the defense, but yet Caleb Williams has yet to defeat any QB from his own draft class.
You had Drake May, you had the guy from Washington.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Who else? There was,
J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy. Okay.
Who won national titles.
And I'm sure there's one more in there somewhere.
I don't know.
Michael Penix?
No, I don't think Penix was in that.
But anyway, tell me how he's better than those guys. And tell me why. And I'm, all right, next week you give him another shot. But you're sitting there 0-3, 0-4, and going into bye week in week 5. The cheese is going to start to bind.
And you know what? I'll go a step further. And I know I'm going a little ways back here, but in the last 30 years of, quarterback play, after Jim McMahon, after Jim Harbaugh, after Doug Flutie, because once upon a time, Bears had all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
They gave all 3 of those guys away for nothing. Those 3 guys were pretty damn good. None of them were bad quarterbacks. However, and they all won at every level that they played. But after that, what quarterback did they draft, they as in the Bears, in the last 30 years, did they themselves draft and develop and win with? There's only 2. Rex Grossman, who had the 2 massive injuries, D. Rose football career, and then there was Mitch Trubisky, who they threw away for nothing.
Yeah. And the development, like you say, this guy's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. He develops everything, blah, blah, blah. I know they're only 2 games in, but if you're going to look in the mirror and say, this is the generational quarterback and this is the future with the schedule they got, tell me how I am wrong. Okay? And now, it's very possible they can roll 0-4. Our plan for our next airing of the show is We're probably going to go middle of the week. I mean, if we decide that we're going to go to the Bear game Sunday, we will put something together probably Friday or maybe Thursday, okay? Because Friday night we might go watch, some high school football or something. Saturday's college football day, and then see what happens. And then we definitely will put a post-game show together for our subscribers to see.
Illinois 3-0.
Yeah, Illinois 3-0. ND 0-2. That kills me to say.
Wow, that's crazy to say just in general.
But continue watching, continue supporting. Again, shout out to Jackson out there, and forward everything. Say hi to everybody. Till next time, this is Hey Hey Sports. We're off.